Hi everyone, welcome back to Plant Happens. Thank you for tuning in. Do you say tuning in nowadays? I don't know, but thank you for watching. I know I have been away for I think like 3 months, and thank you for everyone who patiently waited for my video, or maybe it's just in your subscription, so it doesn't really matter. But I'm really happy that nobody was sending me mean message for not posting anything. So I know that I promised that I will have an upload for my visit to Montreal. Unfortunately, what happened is, sorry, before I go in, this is gonna be a little bit of life update. So if you're not interested, you just wanna watch this topic of the video, please go ahead and jump to maybe this. I'm gonna put it here, this timestamp, and then you can skip all my life update. Yeah, so what happened is when I went to Montreal, I went to nurseries and some farmers markets to film what kind of plants are sold there. But, oh, what was that? Okay. So what happened was the image stabilization was turned off, or I don't know how to turn it on. Because most of the time when I film, it's stationary, right? So I never had to use the image stabilization, and it was off. So all of the footage I filmed were very, very shaky. It was to the point that it was unwatchable. When I was trying to edit, I couldn't even take it. And when I tried to use the software to stabilize it, it just made it like kind of warping. I don't know how to describe it, but it just really made me nauseous. So I didn't want to make people nauseous watching my video, and the shaky video was just not gonna cut it too. So ultimately, I decided to scrap those footage. It is unfortunate that I did spend some time to film, but that was not the main reason I visited there. Anyways, I was there to visit my friends and family. So unfortunate that I had to scrap those footage, but I think it's okay. Things happen. So I decided to move on and just film a new footage. And as some of you already know, I had kind of like two jobs for the last few months, and it's summer, so kids are home and just things got crazy. Sometimes I just didn't have time, sometimes I just didn't have any energy. So I did update everyone on the community what am I saying? Community page, I think a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago. And everybody was so nice saying, just take my time and do it at my timing. And I was so thankful that everybody was so understanding. So yeah, I'm back. And I also mentioned before I'm gonna film a video mounting my begonia sarawak. I'm going to do that, but because some of the cuttings are not rooted yet, I want to root them before I mount them so it has better chance. And originally, I made just one cutting to mount it, but I realized the bark I have is the piece of bark I have is really big. So if I just mount like one little cutting, it will look really, I guess, weird or looks kind of funny. So I decided I'm gonna make a couple more cutting to mount it before I film that video. So that's still coming. So yeah, if you are interested in topic of today's video, obviously keep watching, and I hope you enjoy this video. Okay, so let's get right into it. Today's video, as you saw on the title, I'm gonna be reporting these two plants that are really thirsty, and every time I water it, I feel like after 3 or 4 days I need to water it again. And if I forget to water them, they lose so many leaves. So I think the pot size is not sustaining them anymore. And I also will show you some of the plants that I am growing outside of enclosure, so in room temperature, room humidity, just artificial light. I know a lot of you live in United States and Canada, and I know if you live in like southern United States, like Florida or something, your temperature and humidity are probably really good for plants to grow. But in Canada, most of the people live in colder weather and it's dry. So I think it might be a little bit interesting for you to see some of the plants I am growing in the room humidity, and maybe that can help you decide what kind of plants you want to buy, because not everybody wants to have enclosure. I do have like Millsboro here. These are just glass cabinets. I don't have any humidity added, but because of the plants inside, especially after you water them, the humidity does go up, and as they dry up, slowly the humidity goes down. And I also have a grow tent, and I also have what's that called, Exoterra enclosures. So if you have those help, obviously a lot of tropical plants will grow better, because that's they like warm and humid climate. But I also do like to have plants out in the open, so I don't have to open the cabinet or open the tent to look at them. And I think a lot of people do buy plants and grow plants, so it kind of what's that word, it makes your living space look nicer, right? So I think the plants I can show you today will be very suitable for just having it in living room or on the windowsill, given you have enough light. Now my house is very dark, so I do have artificial light, and I'm also gonna show you some of the lights I use that work really well and how I mount them. Okay, so let's just talk about these two plants I have here. The first plant I have here I've shown before already. I think this was in my first video. Yeah, I think it was in my first video. So I still can't say the name, but it is Operculicarya decaryi. Operculicarya decaryi. I don't know. I think it's also called the elephant tree or something, but yeah, so this is the plant that has these really, really small leaves. I hope you can see, even though I have the product showcase mode on, because these leaves are so small, it may not focus. But yeah, so it's like a little bonsai. It's so wispy and hard to see, so I don't know how I can even show this on the camera, but I love this. And every winter it drops all the leaves, and then in the spring and summer it starts to grow again. But this year it's not as lush as last year, because I think I haven't been really on top of watering, and as I mentioned, it's starting to really be thirsty, and I think the pot is not big enough for it to retain the moisture, so it's been dropping a lot of leaves and growing back a lot of leaves. And I still really, really love this plant, so I want to give it a new bigger pot. And I believe this is available at the Crystal Star Nursery. That's where I got it from, and I think it is available now, or maybe it's off the website already, because I don't know when their shipping season ends, but that's where I got it from, and I think they still sell them. Oh, look, these small leaves going everywhere. So they drop those tiny leaves like this. I don't know why I'm showing you the leaves that dropped, but yeah. So it drops leaves really, really easily when they're dry. They start to dry up, and you can see, maybe I can show you here. There are some dried up leaves here. Do you see? It's right here. This is like dried up. So if you touch it, it just drops. And if you shake it, some more stuff will drop. So to avoid that, I mean, I think it's impossible to avoid like leaf dropping like completely, but I wanted to hold on to more leaves. So even though it is gonna be fall soon, so I assume it's gonna drop all the leaves soon again, but before it's really winter, I'm gonna repot it, so at least it's still somewhat healthy. And another plant I have here, okay, let's move this so it's still in the frame. This one is, I also got this from Crystal Star Nursery, but I know some other places sell it as well. And this is Ficus petiolaris. Oh no, Ficus petiolaris. Yeah. So this, I'm not that great with ficus, but I do have, I think maybe a handful of ficuses, right? And I think this and the Shiveriana are my favorites. And this one, as you can see, has really, really round leaf. Can it focus? And if you give it more sun, the venation will turn out more pink. And also the new leaves have pinkier venation. I'm not sure if camera can pick it up because I left the lights on for the first time on my plant shelf, so I'm having like really harsh light from the front to make sure that my face is visible. Otherwise, if it's backlit, my face gets really dark. So that might wash out some of the colors on these plants. I love these leaves because I don't know, the venations are just so pretty, and it's shiny and kind of leathery looking, and it just doesn't even look real. This leaf just came out. And maybe you can still see a little bit of pink on there. And as you can see, this is growing really funny. But this is not my fault technically, I guess, because I received it and it was already bare all the way here. And probably this last inch or so were grown in my care. And this plant also drops leaves very easily. If it gets dry, it gets droopy, and the next day it will drop the leaf. So this year, this is the 5th leaf it grew. It was one leaf plant for very, very long, like over the winter, and then in the spring it started growing and it grew like 4 leaves, and then I underwatered it. I forgot to water it and then it dropped 2 leaves. I was really sad, but I kept these 2 leaves, so I was like, okay, that's gonna survive. And then this week this one was pushed out, and I can see another one is coming soon, so I'm very excited. Yeah, so in order for me to not have to water it like every 3 days, I'm gonna repot this today. Okay, so in order to show you what's going on, I tilted the camera down. You are not able to see my face, but I don't think it's necessary. So I think I'm gonna start with the ficus, this one. And right now it's in, I don't know what the size of this pot is. I wanna say like maybe 5 inch, 4.5 or 5 inch. And you can see there are some nice juicy roots. There are some dead roots as well, but overall it's growing new roots really well, and some are starting to grow at the bottom, and I think these are dried up, so maybe I'll just pick them off. Yeah, these are definitely dry. I grow these in drainage pond because I'm scared to kill it. I don't know if I can grow these in pond or non-drainage, but so far it's going well, so I'm just gonna keep it in a pot with drainage. And I thought I wanted to use this pot. This is an orchid pot that's maybe like, I would say 50% bigger. I think that's a good size up, but when I look at the cover pot, this thing that sticks up a little bit really annoys me. And then another pot I wanted to use, that's the next size up of the L-hole pot, and then that's like way too big. It's just too big. So I mean, this is not a huge problem, but I don't like it because for the plants like this that gets dry really easy when there's so many space between the pot, I feel like it dries up even faster because there's more air around the inner pot. So I've decided to go with this one. This one, it's kind of too big. I think it's too big. I think it's maybe twice as big, but there are significant indent at the bottom, and these plants grow roots really quick, and I think it fits this pot like much better. So I'm gonna go with this one. And these ones, I'm not like gonna cut the roots or try to, you know, take anything out of the root ball. So this will be very quick repot. So I have here my soil mix that I'm gonna use. This is nothing special. I just basically added more perlite to the soil that I have on hand. The type of soil I use, I'm just gonna put the screenshot on this side so you can take a look. That one already comes with some perlite inside, but I just like to add more perlite because I'm just really worried about root rot, even though these ones are really thirsty, so they're probably okay with just straight soil. But I've always added more amendments to the soil just to be on the safer side. Okay, so I guess I'll remove this first. Okay, let's see how it goes. I'm gonna massage the pot. This is usually what I do with plants in soil. I don't have a lot of plants in soil, but I still do have some. So I'll massage the pot so like it's not stuck, and then you can just wiggle it. Don't pour it out too quickly. I think that damages the roots in my experience, but I'll just like wiggle it and slowly just detach it, basically detach the root ball from the pot. Yeah, some roots still broke. This is a nice healthy root, so that's unfortunate, but it's okay. It has lots of roots. So yeah, I think the roots looks good. There are some dead roots, but I'm not even gonna bother removing them because I don't really wanna disturb the roots. But I'm gonna massage it a little bit because what happens is when it's really root bound, the soil gets really compacted inside, so that might prevent the airflow within the soil, even though I do have perlites in here, so it should be okay. But that's the reason I'm not gonna fully detangle this. I'm just gonna massage it a little bit so it's a little bit looser than originally it is. And this stem is peeling off, so I'm just gonna peel off some of the loose part. I'm not sure I'm supposed to peel them off, but I'm just peeling off the part that's just coming off on its own. Don't come for me. I'm not that great with ficus. Okay, so I see lots and lots of healthy roots here, so I'm not super worried. Okay, so that went well. That came out really easy. Now I'm just gonna put some soil at the bottom, because I think that's gonna go all the way to the bottom of this pot. I don't think there's much space. Let's see if I'm gonna try to get the roots spread. Yeah, see, like it goes all the way to the top, so I can't really go put any more soil at the bottom. Otherwise, it's gonna stick out like this, and I hate that. Okay. Oh, I forgot a stick. I have a stick over here. So here I have my, this is I don't know where I got this. I think I got this when I bought a plant, and it was a support that was in there, and it's a good length and it's nicer like easier to use than a bamboo stick, because I'm always worried that bamboo stick's gonna break or rot. So that's what I use. And there are some leftover soil in here. I'm just gonna add it to here. And I'm just gonna leave it in the original pot for now. And then, where did I put the stick? What? Am I crazy? Do you guys see it? What? Where did I put it? I have to go back and look at the footage. Seriously? I seriously can't find it. Oh my gosh, it's in front of the mat. Okay, so yeah, this is why I have a stick. I just have, because sometimes when you put the soil, it's not easy to go in the gap that you have for it, because it's not very wide. And then having a stick just make it easier to push them down. But I will try to sprinkle them in. Now my soil is pretty dry, so it sprinkles in very easily. But if you have more moisture in the soil, then I think it's even harder to push them in the gap. So that's really when you need the stick to do that. This soil I think already have like mycorrhiza in it, so I'm not gonna inoculate it with Great White. I think it's fine as is. Oh, I forgot to show you the soil. So this is what it looks like, and you can see there's quite a bit of perlite in there. Yeah, I've added extra perlite. So I had maybe 2 parts of the soil that came in a bag, and then I added 1 part of perlite. The perlite I added was not the chunky perlite. I usually keep the chunky perlite for propagation, because I find that these soil can take these fine perlite better. Otherwise, I don't really have use for fine perlite. I bought like a few bags of fine perlite at the beginning when I was not sure what I was doing and just thought all perlites are the same. And then afterwards I realized I don't use them very much, because I don't grow plants in soil very much. So anytime I do use soil, I try to use up those fine perlite. Yeah. Okay, so this is kind of what I do. I hope this is helpful. I feel like people watch my video probably already been growing plants for a while, so you don't really need me to tell you how to, repot a soil plant. This is like super easy. You just pull it out of the original pot, put some soil, put the root ball inside the new pot, and then cover it with new soil. Like, it's not rocket science. But I'm just showing my process, because it might be different from what other people do, and maybe you'll find it helpful to watch it and see like what I do, and maybe adjust how you do it. Maybe you will see something I do that you like, maybe you don't. Maybe you can tell me in the comments that I'm doing it completely wrong, but I'm open to new suggestions as well. And also, I do recommend wearing like gloves and masks if you're doing this at home, because especially if the soil is super dry, you might inhale some, especially the perlite powder. They can be really, really fine, and it gets in the air. There you go. Let's check out the sides. Yeah, it looks like it's fully filled in. But when you water it, usually like it sinks in a little bit more. So let me get some watering can. Okay, I got my watering can. I got this from Charmaine because she said she is incapable of using this watering can, and I have to admit that it's kind of hard to use. The water is hard to control where it's going. But anyways, so I usually will repot the plant and water it immediately, and it's also because I use completely dry soil. When you are using fresh a bag of soil that you just open, it's probably a little bit more, has a little bit more moisture in it, so some people may not water it. But I also tend to repot plants when they are almost fully dry. Like, I don't wait until it's bone dry to do it, because I feel like when it's bone dry, your plant is not in the best condition. So where should I water it? Can I just water it here? But another thing is, when soil is dry, it's a little bit hydrophobic, so you want to go really slow. This almost feels like you're making the what's a drip coffee, or filter coffee. What's it called? Pour over. Yeah, this almost feels like you're making pour over. So just go really slowly. If you pour too fast, it's probably gonna, not gonna absorb the water fast enough, and then it just rolls off the side. Words are not coming to me today. What's that word? When it spills over the edge. So I'll let it absorb a little bit, and as you can see, it's really dry. So even though I put quite a bit of water in it, it's still really dry on the side, and then it is already coming out from the bottom. So it doesn't absorb the water very well yet, because the soil was really, really dry. But it's not sinking as much as I'd anticipated, so I think I'm just gonna leave it like this. Should I add more soil? I don't know. Yeah, quite a bit of water is coming out from the bottom. I'm just gonna put it in the pot and call it a day. I think it's okay. Usually what I do is I do put it in the cover pot right away and let the water just drip out, and then it will collect at the bottom, and they will get absorbed back into the soil, so it's okay. And if after a whole day and I go back and check and there's still extra water, then I might dump it out. But usually I'm an underwaterer, so there's never like excess water sitting in the pot. So the amount of water I put in, I'm pretty confident it will get absorbed back into the soil. I think it comes with your experience, that how much water the soil can take. So when I look at the pot size and the amount of soil in there, and the amount of roots in there, I can kind of gauge how much water I can put in without having it pooling at the bottom for a long period of time. But if you are a beginner, I do recommend, like, if you put excess water for it to absorb, it's basically like a bottom watering. So you have to go back and check in a couple hours, or at least the next day. If there's excess water, just dump it out, because if it's sitting in the like really, really wet soil, then I think even ficus will have root rot. Okay, let's move on to our next plant. And since it's exactly basically same method as the last plant, instead of talking about what I'm doing, maybe I will answer one question that when I posted on not Facebook, Instagram, if anybody have question for me to answer while I repot a long time ago. There was one question that came up a couple times, so maybe I'll answer that while I'm working on this next plant. Here you go. So yeah, I'm just gonna loosen this, and this is not as stuck. I think this plant has way more finer, finer roots, so it's not very stuck to the pot. But anyway, so the question I get asked quite a bit, I guess not all the time, but often enough on Instagram, is that what do I like and dislike about running a Facebook plant group? Some of you may or may not know that I run a Facebook plant group for Metro Vancouver area and some Fraser Valley area. So basically the membership requirement is that you are able to physically pick up the plant. So if you live in northern BC, then obviously you're not gonna drive to Vancouver to pick up a plant. But if you live in Fraser Valley, depends on where you are. Maybe if you live in Kelowna and you're visiting Vancouver, you might want to do it, but that's not something you can do every weekend. So typically it's just the Metro Vancouver area. And I started the group in 2019. Yeah, September of 2019. And at the time, the reason I started the group was that there were several Vancouver-based plant group already, but I was having a hard time finding a group where I can find good variety of plants that was available, number one. And number two was the not very active. They were not very active, and then Canada-wide groups were very, very active, and then there was a lot of trade going on, but Vancouver-based groups were not very active and seemed like was not very, like the admins were not very active in managing it. And then there was one big group that made members jump through hoop to join. Like the question to join, the pre-requirement, there's when you join a group, there's like a question you can ask and ask the people to answer before they join. And those questions were not even plant related. I was just very confused, and I sent a request to join, and then I was denied, I believe. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll just try making one myself. I didn't think it would be very difficult, and I didn't think it will have very many members, but I just basically invited some of my friends, or at least the plant community people that I already knew, and people I felt like were very like knowledgeable and had good amount of plant. And then I thought maybe it would just be like 100 or maybe a couple hundred people who really loved plants in Vancouver, and we'll just exchange plants and maybe have a group orders and stuff like that. But as you know, COVID happened, and then for some reason all the millennials decided to grow plants, and then group grew really quickly. And then I was like kind of overwhelmed at one point, because with more people there's more problems. So yeah, so then I added several people after there were several like not incidents, but some problems arise, and I just realized, okay, I cannot manage this by myself anymore. And I always wanted to be pretty active in the group to manage it. So I didn't want it to be like, I didn't want to just leave it alone and let the dust settle on its own. I wanted the group to be like a safe place for everybody. So we have really extensive rules, and then me and the admin team are pretty active with enforcing those rules. So yeah, after some incidents, I asked several people that I already knew and felt like we have similar idea of how to run the group, and then we form a team. And then that's a little history of how my group started and how it's going so far. But so the question was what I like and dislike about it. Is that what I like is definitely the people I've met through the group and the stories I hear. A lot of people have told me that, before the group, they didn't really know anybody in their personal life who loves plants and can talk about plants, because, sometimes you talk about plants to your friends and they think you're crazy. And I think we all have this experience because we love plants so much, and then we like to talk about plants and we like to show our plants, and to them it all looked the same. And my husband is like that too. I can show him any plants and his question is always, is that a Hoya? Because I always talk about Hoya. I can show him the photo of Philodendron gloriosum and he can ask me, is that a Hoya? But anyways, so my point is that it's not that easy to actually meet somebody who also love plants in person. So a lot of people had told me that's helped them through the pandemic, especially to connect with people when you couldn't really visit your friends, couldn't really visit your family, but you at least could talk to people online and connect with people that way. And I always love to hear that because that's basically what I wanted to accomplish, right? I wanted a space for people to connect and make friendship and then share the love for plants. And of course, originally my group had buy sell trade in the group name, but it was never just strictly about buying and selling. We always let people post show and tell of their plants, or like what they found in the local plant shop and stuff like that. But later on, we just changed the name to houseplant community, so people knew that those posts were allowed. So building a community, I feel like that we built a community in local area that was safe, and I really love that what we achieved. But I think people really want to hear about things I dislike more, I guess, because we're always here for the tea. But I guess things I dislike about running a group is that maybe if you don't care about the group, then it's not so much of an issue. But I feel like because we have a lot of rules and we have like actual like a page that you can go to look at, like what's the rules around selling, what's the rules around buying, and not everybody will have time to read all of it, even though it's part of the requirement that when you join this group you have to read the entire rules. But I also understand not everybody have time and sit and read through like 10 pages of rules. So a lot of times people would end up messaging me about like clarifying, is this allowed? And I hear that a lot, like, hi, I saw this, is it allowed? Hi, I see this is happening, is it allowed? Hey, I want to do this, is it allowed? And I oftentimes feel like, well, it is already written in the rules, so please read the rules. But I wouldn't respond that way. If I do have time, I always do tell them like, this is the rule, and then this is the page you can find. It's written in the rule, so please go ahead and read it. And I try to help because I understand some people have very difficult time reading long body of text, and it's not everybody have differences in their ability in understanding it. And maybe because I'm also ESL, so the way it's written could be unclear, so it's fine. But I think you can also imagine that it gets annoying sometimes if you are getting like multiple messages each day asking like, is this allowed? Is this okay? So I guess that's the part I can say maybe I dislike a little bit, because I'm not also just sitting around every day to answer questions, right? Especially when I'm working. But I would say this last year or two, I would say maybe less than a year, it's been really peaceful. I feel like there's not a lot of drama, I guess. During the pandemic, I guess when everybody had a lot of time, there was a lot of drama, and we felt like, me and the admin team felt like we're like trying to put out a fire every day. But it's been super peaceful, and I do like it. But there's also newcomers coming in, and then they will have a lot of questions. So yeah, the time consuming part of running the group, if you really care about the group, then yeah, I think that's the hard part. And of course, I know some groups, the admins are not active, and then the groups kind of moderate itself. And I don't see that, I'm not saying that's the wrong way to do it, but I feel like there's more space for things to go wrong in that kind of situation. So we rather stay on top of things and try to put out any drama before it happens. Yeah, I hope that answers some of your questions. And now I'm done repotting both of these plants, and they're both in L4 L-hole pots. I love L-hole pots because I think they look super simple and minimalistic and really light because it's plastic. ASMR. And I don't even take off the logo. I kind of like them. And they're very durable. And I wouldn't say they're the most affordable. I feel like there are some other more affordable plastic pots, but I like the way they look, and I always buy their white ones. In the past, I've bought different color ones. Like this one is black one, and it's geometric, like polygon kind of. I like this pot, but it doesn't come in white, so I don't have many of those. Mostly I have this shape or this shape. And I think I have several of this shape in like the ribbed style, but I do like this one the most because this one also can hold their self-watering insert. Okay. Okay, so this is kind of weird, awkward angle, but this is the only corner I can kind of show you what I grow without other humidity. Now you can see here, this is my Exoterra, and these are obviously in enclosure, so they are higher humidity, but the plants you see in the back here, those are all growing in room conditions, so there's no other humidity, there's no, what's that called, added heat. They're just in the room temperature and room humidity. You will see in the back, maybe it's hard to see, but it's actually a window, but outside of the window are bushes and trees, so it blocks all the sunlight, so there's no sunlight coming in. And this is also which side is that? That is south, so that's east. Yeah, east facing window. So you know, technically there should be a good amount of light, but like I mentioned, there's lots of trees and bushes outside blocking the light, so there's literally no sun exposure. So with the EXO, I do have a light at the top, and I'm gonna be able to link all of the lights I use in my description box, but some of the lights are not available anymore on Amazon. So I can show you some of the lights that I recommend. That's maybe a good alternative. So this light, I can't remember the brand, but I wanted something long, and this was the only option I saw at the time, and that was 2 years ago. And that's been working out really well for this EXO. And for this area, you can see at the top over there, this area, I'm gonna go back a little bit. Over there, there is a light that is on a clamp fixture, and that light is from SANSI. Now, before this light, I had two SANSI lights that was 15 watt, I believe, and I had two of them, one at the corner and one down, like more towards my left. Is it my left? If I face this way, it's left. I mean right. But if I face this way, it's left. Anyways, towards this side, I had two. And I've used it for a really long time, and I bought those with my own money, and I read some reviews on Facebook, and I read some reviews on Amazon, and I thought, okay, these are affordable and they seem to work well for everybody, so I bought those too, and I've used it for more than a year. And then a few months ago, SANSI actually reached out to me and said like they want me to try out their new lights, and they gave me some options, and then they sent me that light, and that one is actually 35. I have to double check. After I check the number, I'll put it somewhere here, but basically one light was as much light as those two lights that I was using. So I decided, yeah, that will be good because you know, there's always so much cable going on with the lights and the timer, and then the tent. I have a tent on this side. I can show you actually. This is my tent. So with the tent and inside the tent, I have a fan, I have the light. So there's so many cords. So I just wanted, you know, if I can just combine those two lights into one, I thought that would be great. So I got one of that, and so I replaced those two lights with just one light, and it has been working so well. And one thing I really love about SANSI light is their color is basically like what you would expect from daylight. And I'm gonna turn on the light, and it's gonna be very, very bright. So I hope it doesn't blind you, but I want to show you the color. So now it's on. Now I'm so much more backlit. I cannot get like my camera light here, so maybe I look a little bit dark, but I just wanted to show you the color. So as you can see, it's very, very like daylight color. I hope it doesn't come across too cool on the camera, but in person it's not cool at all. And this would be something I would even choose for my own like ceiling light or something. It's not too yellow, it's not too cool, and it's a really nice bright like sunlight color. And I will show you some of the plants growing under it, and they are growing really well. So I think that speaks, I mean, I think that just, what's the phrase? I think that's just a testament to the quality of these lights. And I've been using them, like I mentioned, the other two lights I've been using for more than 1 year, and I never had any problems. I still have those lights. I just installed one of it in my small tent when the other grow light burned out. And yeah, I think I bought those two lights around the same time, but the SANSI light had outlasted them. All of my grow lights are on timer. I have you know, the power bar that is a smart, what is it called, like a has the Wi-Fi capability, so I have an app to control, and I can schedule what time it turns on and what time it turns off. I believe all my lights turns on around 8 and turns off around 7, so that's around 11 hours of light, and so far it's been doing pretty good. Yeah, so let's move on to looking at some of the plants I have here. Okay, I'm gonna give this a try because I do have image stabilization on now. I don't know how well it works, so hopefully it's not too shaky, but this is what the light looks like. Right now it's on, so it's really hard to see, but this is how bright it is, and this brightens up this whole corner, and all these plants are growing under that light. So let's start from the corner. I have my begonia Sinbad in the corner, and it's growing out of control. This thing grows really, really well with low humidity, and as long as you can keep up with watering, it grows like weed. And it's really pretty, and it's super easy to propagate too, so I do recommend this one if you don't mind it growing out of control and you have to constantly cutting it back. And of course I have some Hoyas. You can see that leaf, that one. That is my favorite Hoya Joy Splash, and it is also growing with no other humidity, and it's growing completely fine. And I just placed my Ficus back here. This is where it was growing to begin with. Hopefully it continued to do well. And I have not so well Philodendron Splendid. I think this one does better in higher humidity, but it does okay. And it's a rehab that I've been working on. And in the corner, very hard to see, but over here is also a Hoya Thomsonii. So Hoyas tend to do pretty good in room condition. I don't see any problem with them growing in room condition. And here I have a couple Ripsalis. This is Ripsalis sali something. I'll put the name down. And this one, maybe this is just not enough light for it, so it's a little bit etiolated. It's not supposed to look like this, I think. And I also have this Ripsalis, I can't remember the name, but it looks kind of like the Christmas cactus, I think. But it is also a type of Ripsalis, and it's growing pretty well here too. And then I have another Ficus arii, I think. And I also have my UPI growing here. And I am loving this UPI leaf. It's looking a lot more mature now. And it just put out a new leaf as well. And I have a Monstera. This one, I'm not very well, equipped to grow Monstera, so it's not doing very well. So we just gonna move on from it. And I also have a Hoya, what is this one? Bethelinoides, I think, growing here, and it's doing really well as well. It grows pretty big leaves. So yeah, so this SANSI light really works well in open space, and I think if you have a floor lamp, you can just put the light bulb in the floor lamp, and then you can grow floor plants that way. But I already given up on decorating the house with plants, so I'm just basically finding a space for plants, and this corner happened to be a good place to put the light and grow lots of plants. Yeah, so this is my Philodendron hederaceum variegated, and it is also growing really well over here, and it's fully intertwined with my micans, so I don't think I can ever detangle these, but look how long it's growing. And then we have my Ring of Fire, we have Glad Hands. These are all doing really well in the normal room conditions, so I really do recommend these. And I also have some Hoya propagations here. These are all just cuttings, so we can kind of gloss over it. And coming back here, we have another begonia. This one, I think with the light it will look a little bit washed out, but it's very dark with pinkish iridescent polka dots. And this one is called Hoya malachostica, I think. This one I would have to say was growing better in the tent, but it's been doing okay-ish outside of the tent as well. So I think if you can spend some time to let it get used to the condition, it will do fine. And then I have some African violets down here, and I'm not very knowledgeable with African violets, so please don't ask me questions. And then random pink princess here. This one is a little bit sad. This is variegated micans. It did really poorly in the tent, so I took it out, and it did really poorly outside, and it's finally putting out some new growth. So I'm hoping it will survive. Yeah, and lastly, I have my Philodendron patriciae growing here. So that's the light, and it's growing across from the light. And as you can see, it's got pretty good size. This is second to the newest leaf, and I cannot reach the newest leaf, but it's grown off the pole and it's still growing really well. And I love patriciae, I love the ruffles on it, so I hope this continue to grow like this. It's not the biggest plant. I actually had a bigger one before, but that one actually died back. But this one's doing so well, so I'm really happy with that. And on the other end, I have my Albo Monstera. Now, I would admit this is not doing super good because of the low humidity. The white parts are browning, but it's still growing really well. And it grown above the, like grown past the top of the moss pole. So I had to chop the top off and I finally extended it. And it's growing a new shoot out. So it's safe to say it's doing well. And hopefully it continues. This one was putting out really white leaf, so I hope the new one is a little bit more marble than white, but it is looking pretty white at this time. Then there's more Hoyas, and then there's this Clarinervium that refused to do well. It continued to put out new leaf and they are really cute, but they stay really small and they crisp up. I don't know what's up with this one. I feel like there was a batch of really weak Clarinervium that came out in 2020, and this is one of those. And to add to the absolute chaos, I also have so many plants at the bottom. And these are grown from the light at the top, but also with this mother light on the side. So this is supplementing the top light. And I have lots of propagation down here. So if you ever wondered if I have so many plants, how I keep my house organized, the answer, now you know, is that I don't. And I hope that actually gives some of you guys a relief, because I feel like a lot of plant YouTubers also have really pretty living space, and I don't. My house is pretty much like a factory, but that's kind of what came with having so many plants. And I'm slowly organizing though. I'm trying to kind of throw out things I don't need and declutter, and eventually maybe have a nice space I can actually feel proud to share. Okay, so that's all the plants. And again, thank you SANSI. Oh, Fred is barking. Thank you SANSI for letting me try this light bulb, and I really love it. And they also have a link for you guys, which I will link down below in the description box. Okay, so that concludes my repot and answering your question about my plant group experience, also showing some of the plants I grow in the room condition. And I don't know what this video is. I don't even know how to title this yet, but I hope you enjoyed this mishmash of video. I'm holding a plant because I thought it's so blank, you know, this is my tent, and I couldn't find a good place to end this video, so I ended up choosing this really black plain background. So I decided to hold this plant that I'm really excited about right now. I'm not gonna say what this is because I'm thinking of making a video talking about all my hybrid anthuriums that I grew from seedling and how they're doing, and this is one that is doing really well and that I'm really proud of, and I think it's my favorite at the time. So I just wanted to hold this here so you have something to look at. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and again, thank you very much for being so patient with my uploads and all the technical difficulties I have over the time. And I'm so happy that I still have you guys around to watch my video. So if you like this video, you know the drill. Please hit the like button if you don't mind, and that helps my channel a lot. And also please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos in the future. I will try to post more, I promise. And yeah, so I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye now.